something that's going to be detrimental to you in most respects. So the thing that we can do is begin to start educating ourselves and those around us, so that we at least have a shot at getting at the truth.
I'd like to say that this is a perfect example of what we can do, and this is a TV show dedicated for Muslims to basically voice their opinions and give us an outlet independent of the corporate media, so that we can say what we need to say. And there are many mediums out there today, like KPFA and Counterspin, a lot of these outlets, Mecca One Radio. There are a lot of small, but it's just a matter of us getting out there and seeking that information and really trying to make our own resources to get our opinions out.
Very good point. You're watching the Muslim Roundtable, and we'll be right back after these brief messages. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Welcome back to the Muslim Roundtable. Today we're talking about manipulation of public opinion. We were talking about how the government, they use the media to influence the people, the masses, and to get their accomplishments. And one good book I just recently read, it's called Stupid White Men. It's written by Michael Moore, who's a filmmaker. He also made the Oscar-winning film Bowling for Columbine. And the reason it's called Stupid White Men, by the way, is because the majority of the people in the power in the government for the past 200, 400 years of American history are white men. And basically he's talking about, he gives a background of the history of how the government has used the media and corporations to get their views and opinions to the masses so they can get what they want. Brother Hager, you have any questions?
Back on that point about white men, it's important to note that most of the media is controlled specifically by white men, and when we look at the stats. A survey was recently done in terms of the radio world, daytime hosts in the seven metropolitan cities in this country. They found that out of all the anchors, 73 of them were white men, white out of the 83 that exist, and 57 of those were white men. So that's a startling fact, considering the fact that the media is supposed to be an outlet for us to represent all of the different ethnicities that are represented in this country, and it says something about what influences are going to be, or what issues and what messages are going to be conveyed in those media outlets if only a specific group of people are controlling them.
So I think part of the problem is actually, at least for Muslims, is that many Muslims don't even go into the media fields, and they don't even go to politics either. Like one of my friends, my partner who does media, he was like the only student in his broadcasting school out of 800 people. And how can you expect to get a representation of Muslims and other groups if there's only a few people and the rest are going into engineering or computer science?
Well, there's a very self-defeating attitude that propels that, and I think a big part of it is a lot of Muslims say, well, this is their field, we won't succeed in it, why bother? And then there is also the money issue that, why do something that might be, you may not necessarily succeed at, whereas you've got, as close
you can get a lot of money in the media being
sure you
a producer.
And I think honestly what you're going to see is that what you're seeing now is a growing field of young Muslims who are breaking into all different aspects of media. So you're going to see a pretty big paradigm shift within the next few years.
And if I may add, I think that the other reason why there is what appears to be a lack of energy in that direction is the word ology. I define it as being a system of words that have meanings that either promote certain activity with people or causes some to feel very discouraged or to feel inferior. And I believe very much that as Muslims, we must develop a very effective wordology. We must look at our language. And with our language, we must empower ourselves through language, that we can impart the kind of energy and the kind of power that we have inherited.
Well, I think that's true. We can see that the media as it stands now is corrupt. And the people that are aspiring to get into these fields, especially the Caucasians, well, they've just adopted the corrupt attitude. And what we as Muslims have to be careful of is that we don't do the same thing, because it's not going to work for us as it does for them.
But that's why it's very important for us to establish a support base where these Muslims that are interested in these pursuing the media field, we have a place where we can go and our viewpoints are respected and nurtured, and we can develop. Like shows like the Muslim Roundtable, shows like the radio station Mecca One are examples of that. As we grow and develop, it will be more inviting for Muslims that are coming up to get involved.
We can all acknowledge that there is sort of an inherent corruption in the media and in the corporate mentality and everything else. But that doesn't negate the fact that television, radio, film, newspapers, etc., these are all tools,
Right.
you know, and like anything else, they can be used both positively and negatively. You know, the same gun that's used to murder somebody is used to protect somebody. It's no different.
But you do have to submit to the culture when you do come up in the controlled white media, or the white controlled media, that you do have to submit to a certain way of basically of handling yourself and what information you give out and so forth, because it's all corporate influence and corporate backed. So there's.
In other words, you're saying acclimate,
Yeah.
that there's a certain amount of acclimation that goes on. But I think that we're sort of insulated from that because of Islam. I think that Islam is a filter by which all of this can filter through, and our interpretation of the different traditions will not remain the same. And that's how I perceive as Muslims. There is a mission that we have, and the mission is that we have come to introduce justice and to introduce fair play and to introduce caring and mercy that comes from Allah to all people. So it's not like we are at the mercy of what already exists, but it is, if we are architects, if you please, due to Islam, the real, true understanding of what Islam is. So far, we've only heard the misrepresentation of Islam. And such programs that we're having now, that we're striving to bring forth, is to bring forth the image, the true image of what Islam is all about.
So what you're saying is we really actually need to take the leadership as far as the media is concerned, not only just entering these fields, but we have to actually establish leadership in these fields.
Become the top people.
Right, in order for any real big change to take place.
We have the ability.
Exactly. What are some of the examples in the current events of manipulation? Brother Hager, you have some examples?
Yeah, one just recent thing that was discovered in America. It's been reported on way back in the other media countries, but the Jessica Lynch story, where there was her rescue was basically a staged operation by the American government for the sake of of rallying the troops and so forth, and it was reported as if it was really a secret operation, and how the soldiers were viewed as heroic soldiers and so forth. But that just goes to show how the media basically bought the story, never investigated the true facts about the case, and just took it and ran with it, and then it was disproved later on. And another example is Clear Channel today